What's up, guys? Jesse here from Madnaps, and today we're going to be talking about the fights to make after UFC 261. So, obviously, that just happened this past weekend, and now we're looking at who is the next contender for each of these title fights. So we'll start with the women's strawweight. So, women's strawweight, there's a fight coming up in a couple cards. I think it's on. Let me double check here. The Carla Esparza versus Xiaonan fight. I think that is the best fight for the number one contender. UFC Fight Night 188. That is on the Font versus Garbrandt card. Jan Xiaonan versus Carla Esparza. I think that is the fight May 22nd. That is probably going to be the best option for number one contender. Obviously, you got Jan Xiaonan, who's probably the top girl in the division who has not held the title. And then you've got Carla Esparza, who's a former champion and also beat Rose for that inaugural championship, so she does have a win over Rose. So I think both those are very good options if either one of those girls wins. Obviously, with Jan being on her insanely long win streak and with Esparza being a former champion and one of the few girls that has beat Rose and one of the few wins that she hasn't avenged, I think that's the perfect matchup for the next 115-pound title. Moving on to Shevchenko, that's a little bit harder. Ideally, I would like to see the Montano fight. I think Montano is highly underrated. She is 6-0 at 125 if you count her 3 wins on The Ultimate Fighter. But I don't think Montano is going to be moving down anytime soon, and with her just coming off a loss, even though it was at 135 pounds, I don't know that the UFC would give her a title shot. And that kind of leaves Valentina in a weird spot because she has defended against most of the top girls already. She's already beat Jessica Ai, Liz Carmouche, Chikugian, Maya, Andrade. She beat Joanna for the belt. Again, it kind of leaves her in an odd spot. Like if Montano was able to move down and make weight, that would be a very interesting fight. The first champion versus the current champion. The only other girl to hold the belt could fight for the belt. But that being said, I don't think Montano is going to be able to cut down. She doesn't seem to. She seems to have weight cut issues. Looking at the top ranked girls, right now at number 1, you've got Jessica Andrade, who she's already beat. Chikugian at number 2, who she's already beat. Lauren Murphy is at number 3, which would be an interesting fight. I think Lauren already has a fight coming up, though. I could be wrong. I will double check that. Lauren Murphy. Joanne Calderwood at UFC 263. So yeah, maybe that Joanne Calderwood fight. Joanne is currently on a 1-fight win streak. She just lost to Maya. She lost to Maya and Chikugian. So yeah, I guess that could be a good fight because Calderwood's only lost to other girls who have fought for the title, and Murphy only lost to Eubanks at 125. I think Eubanks moved up to 135. Yeah, she did. So, yeah, maybe the winner of Lauren Murphy versus Joanne Calderwood. That's number 3 versus number 6. That's probably the best option. Calveo is another good option. I think she has a fight coming up as well. Let me double check. Who is Calveo fighting? Cynthia Calveo. Let's see. Oh, she last fought Chikugian November 21st. So, depending on how quick around Shevchenko wants to go, obviously the Lauren Murphy versus Calderwood 3 versus 5 is a great fight. But if she wants to fight even more, sooner than that, because obviously those two aren't fighting for another 2 months, you probably need another 2 months after that, maybe 3. So that'd be 5 months out. Shevchenko likes to stay active. So maybe that Calveo fight with Calveo just coming off of a... I guess Calveo just lost to Chikugian, so yeah, that does kind of leave her in a odd spot. I guess really the only option you have is to either run back one of the matches with these other girls. Maybe she could do another one with Chikugian, but Chikugian lost to Andrade. But then again, Andrade is the 115-pound champ or former 115-pound champ. Valentina is kind of really in a rough spot. That I guess you really have to go with that Murphy versus Calderwood fight, unless Valentina wants to move up. But then again, she's already lost to Nunes twice, so I'm not sure how much of a how much the fans would buy into that. Although to be fair, at the time. I think that was Amanda Nunes' second title defense, so she wasn't really a big star yet, and Valentina hadn't even won the belt yet. And then the one before that, neither one of them had even been champ yet. So maybe there would be interested because now they're the two top women's pound-for-pound fighters, so maybe people would want to see it. But the fact that Nunes has already won twice over Shevchenko, I don't know if the UFC will want to run that one back, but that is another good option. But yeah, as far as a 125-pound contender, I guess really the only option is to either do another fight against a girl she's already beat or do the winner of the Lauren versus Calderwood fight, which would mean that it's probably not going to happen for at least another 5 or 6 months, which would put Shevchenko out for a while. And then, so then moving on to 170 pounds, obviously Usman versus Masvidal, that went pretty much exactly how everyone thought it would be. Although I wasn't expecting the knockout. I was expecting him to just kind of get a unanimous decision, run through Masvidal, kind of like the first fight. Masvidal looked good in the first round and then just kind of got destroyed in the first fight, whereas this one, Usman really put it to him right from the start and ended up knocking him out in the second. I think Colby Covington's probably the best fight to make, although I don't, again, he's fought Colby so recently, I don't know that people... how many people are going to be excited for that fight, but at the same time, that was a really, really good fight. I think that was fight of the night that night. Yeah, that was fight of the night. And yeah, Colby also being a former interim welterweight champion, that obviously brings a lot of eyes to it. Being 16-2, just coming off of that win against Woodley. He's beat Lawler, he's beat Dos Anjos, so obviously he's beat a lot of these top guys that are otherwise in the division, and that kind of gives him, in my opinion, the best spot for that next title shot, especially with Jorge getting the fucking immediate rematch. The fact that Masvidal got a rematch before Covington did is kind of ridiculous. I understand Masvidal's a big star, but the first fight, he got the shit kicked out of him, and I think it was 50-43 on all the judges' scorecards, meaning every judge scored 2 10-8 rounds, which is like it was 49-43. Yeah, so even though he won the first round, he got the shit kicked out of him for the rest of the fight. Like, it was just an absolute fucking beatdown. I think it was insane that he even got the rematch. So I definitely think Covington's the next fight to make. But if you want to see him against somebody that he hasn't beat, again, I don't even know, because he beat Leon Edwards in his second UFC fight. Maybe they could run that one back. I don't think he's beat Stephen Thompson, but he hasn't fought Stephen Thompson. That could be an interesting fight. What is Thompson's current streak on? Because that'll be the big factor on if they're willing to give him a title shot or not. To a certain degree, I guess, because Masvidal was coming off of a loss and they gave him another title shot. So yeah, he's recently beat Vincent Luque and Jeff Neal. It's 2 interesting fights. I think they might do that one next.